AITA for saying it's my grandparents' fault I don't embrace my culture? Edit. Wow. I just got back to this and wow. Thank you so much for the support. At first, I wanted to make my grandparents' and dad's holiday miserable as payback. But now that I look back on it, life is too short to spend holidays with people you don't love. My mom got me a ticket back. I leave next week. A lot of people have been urging me to take a DNA test because it's impossible for me to have blue eyes. First of all, it's common for mixed kids to pass as white. I look like my German mother who has blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm 100% sure I'm my dad's daughter. A DNA test is the first thing they did. They did not want me at all. If I wasn't my dad's daughter, I would have been out. I, 16F, am half Korean and half German. However, I am white passing. I don't look Asian at all. I look 100% Caucasian. My mom was an addict. She and dad divorced when I was 2. Mom left for Germany and left me with dad. I am my family's greatest shame. My father is the firstborn son. His marriage to my mom was his rebellious stage, and while he could pretend he never married her, he couldn't pretend I don't exist. I am a reminder of his failure. He quickly married a nice Korean woman and they had my siblings. 12F, 12 meters, 9 meters, 7M. Growing up, we lived with my grandparents. They blamed all my bad behavior on my white side. I always heard things like, "We can't expect the white kid to behave. Rude just like Westerners," etc. If my siblings did something bad and I was blamed as I was influencing them with my Western values, and leading the nice Koreans astray. When Chuseok happened, Korean holiday, I was never allowed to participate and was told to stay in my room. For most of my life, I tried to be as Korean as possible. I dyed my natural blonde hair brown, wore brown contact lenses to cover my blue eyes, etc. It didn't help that we lived in the rural area of South Korea and I was the only white kid for miles. The bullying was relentless. My dad did nothing to help me. One time he tried to stand up for me. My grandparents said, "This," referring to me, "is your fault. If you had married a nice girl, we wouldn't be dealing with this." Pointing at me. Quote, "That was the first and last time he tried to stand up for me." When I was 15, my mom came to get me. She had gotten her life together and was clean. They couldn't hand me to her fast enough. The good thing is I love my life in Germany. I love the culture and the people. I feel more at home in Germany than I ever did in Korea. I finally embraced my German side and stopped trying to be Korean. Recently my 12F sister died. I can't say I'm sad about it, as all my siblings participated in my mistreatment, so I never had a bond with them. Since she was the only girl and my stepmom can't have more kids, my grandparents and dad have been trying to reach out to me. They convinced my mom to send me there to visit for the holidays. When I arrived, they were shocked to see me with blonde hair, blue eyes, piercings, etc. I also refused to speak Korean, speaking only English or German. This morning my grandparents said how sad they are to see me turn my back on my culture. I exploded at them, cussing them out. I told them if they hadn't bullied me my whole life, maybe I would be closer to my Korean culture. I said they don't get a do-over because my sister died. I said a lot of nasty things to my dad as well. My grandparents started crying, and my dad had tears in his eyes, which shocked me because I have never seen them so sad. I feel kinda bad. I feel like because they seemed genuinely remorseful. The first night home they came to me and apologized for everything. I could tell they felt bad. But at the same time, too little too late. NTA. Them being remorseful doesn't mean you can't be angry or that you have to forgive them. Being sorry for one day doesn't fix a lifetime of mistreatment. If they're really sorry, they can confront the hurt and anger they caused you. It's not your responsibility to hide it from them. NTA. They can't exclude you the majority of your life from part of your culture and then decide you can be included because they now need a daughter in the family. They just want a replacement for what was lost. NTA. You hit the nail on the head. They don't get to abuse you and exclude you from Korean culture for years and suddenly use you as a backup granddaughter now. NTA. My great-grandmother was Dutch and married a Korean man. Their kids and the generation next and next were raised with the culture without any of the racist bullshit you had to tolerate. A child's death is horrible. I'm sorry for that. But it shouldn't have taken something so awful to shake some sense into your family. Even if they're truly repentant and want a relationship with you, you're under no obligation to accept. And as an ethnic Korean, I promise you that 100% ethnic Koreans are just as disappointing to their parents. Your folks are just racist pricks who ruined a good thing for you. NTA. And you gave them a second chance. They deserved to hear what you said and you needed to say it. I can't imagine how your grandparents treated your mom. That had to not help her mental health while being married to your dad. I hope you can find some happiness. You deserve better. NTA. They treated you like a second-class citizen in your home. And your father allowed it. They deserve every negative feeling you have towards them. If your mother hadn't gotten herself straightened out, you'd likely be receiving the same treatment until you hit 18 and moved out on your own. I am not of mixed cultured, but I've been the spare kid. Bio dad went on with his life and only remembered I existed after one of my half-siblings was stillborn. You're definitely NTA. It shouldn't take the death of a child to start loving another. Edit. Typo. Don't feel bad. They are probably crying because they feel guilty because you were right. They didn't allow you to participate in the culture. They turned their backs on you and repeatedly bullied you and pushed on you that you didn't belong. They made it very clear they considered you a mistake, a bad influence, something that never should have happened. And now you are supposed to embrace a culture and a family that made you feel like your life was a mistake? Let them cry. They should cry. They should be ashamed, mortified even, that they treated you that way. And now they are dealing with the consequences of their own actions. NTA. But wow. Your so-called family sure is. NTA. You are the product of their raising you. If they wanted you to be a loving daughter, then they needed to love you while you grew up. I can bet they are expecting you to take care of your dad when he is old. Lol. Very much doubt that will happen. When you want them in your life, you can seek them out. They get no say in that matter. NTA. As a second-gen Korean American, I can say plenty Koreans can be some of the most overtly racist motherfuckers on the planet. Especially when it comes to family. They can be civil and kind. But unless you fit the homogenic mold, pure Korean and Korean speaking, you'll always be other. NTA. You was 100% justified in that argument. You are not a replacement daughter, granddaughter because your sister passed away. They do not deserve a second chance at a relationship with you. Unless you decided it. Why would you keep trying with your Korean heritage when they didn't include you in any of it in the previous 15 years they had custody of you? Excluding you to your room while everyone else celebrated as just plain cruel. The truth only hurts those who are in the wrong. NTA. As a fellow mixed-race person, it's taken me a really long time to realize it's not my responsibility to adapt or hide parts of myself when people are uncomfortable with who I am. I am so sorry about your childhood. Best of luck. You probably could have delivered it better, but seeing as they treated you so poorly, I think you're off the hook. I'm proud of you for standing up to them. NTA. They treated you like an outsider your whole life and now want to act like happy family? Hell no. You visited at their request. Paid what little respects you have. You did what you needed. Go home and never look back. NTA. You just told the truth. If I can give you a piece of advice, though, as someone else who has a multicultural background, try not to distance yourself from Korean culture just because you've been unfortunate enough to have an unpleasant family. You've mentioned that you still speak Korean, which is great, and I would really advise you to read Korean books. Familiarize yourself with Korean history. Cook Korean dishes, and generally accept that Korea will always be a part of you, even if you choose not to be part of your Korean family. NTA. You are not her replacement. They shunned you and bullied you, and now expect you to be the loving, perfect Korean family member. While it sucks it took the death of your sister to realize just how shitty they treated you. They made their bed and must lie in it. NTA. I've been in the same situation with my dad's family, but they're white and my mom's side is mixed with Native American and Sicilian. There's only so much you can be expected to take, and I don't think you could ever be an AH for exploding the way you did given the circumstances. Maybe apologize for the way you conveyed your feelings, but tell them everything you said is valid. NTA. Decide what relationship you want to have with them and don't let them guilt you about setting healthy boundaries. Good luck. It really does get better as you get older and more independent from toxic family heart. NTA. I am so sorry you had to go through this. Yes. Your reaction wasn't ideal. But you're 16 and you've been holding on this and dealing with this pain with no one to help you for so long. So it's understandable that it would come out like that. But your grandparents and your father are the only people at fault. They should not have pushed their negative opinion of Westerners onto a child. Children are the product of their upbringing, and their treatment of you has pushed you away from their culture. You don't have to decide now, but I would suggest seriously rethinking your relationship with them. Do you really want these people in your life? I'm glad your mom got clean and that you have a good life in Germany. I would say that you should try to get to know Korean culture, but in your own time and without that part of your family's involvement. It'd be wonderful for you to be able to come to terms with that part of you. But you are free to choose how you do. NTA. Your behavior wasn't ideal here, but they treated you as disposable until their preferred child died. Now they're treating you as viable backup option. Though if you're fully fluent in Korean, don't stop practicing that. Being multilingual is almost always going to be an advantage and opens up career options. NTA. You said what you said and you were not wrong. They did treat you horribly. Were racist towards you. No surprise you refused to accept a culture they spent years gatekeeping you from. It's up to them to make amends. And you do not need to feel bad or sorry for speaking the truth.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.